I agree with you. I definitely agree. The normal white, typical conservative white, definitely don't want to give their wealth away, just like the typical black Negro. They ain't trying to give their wealth away or whatnot when we only the percentage of us even have actual wealth. But I will say that up in New York and up in Chicago, they definitely want to give their wealth away or whatnot, just how they voted. I appreciate you and whatnot, and I appreciate Hake, as always, for letting me get on here and talk to y'all, man.
Thank you, Art. Take care, man.
Yep.
All right.
I want to follow up on his last point there, which is that the whites in New York and Chicago, he's just saying liberal whites. He's saying liberal whites want to give away all of their wealth. That's not true. Liberal whites want to redistribute wealth from, the white people that they don't like and distribute it to the enemy of my enemy. So they're saying liberal whites feel threatened by white conservatives. White conservatives are scary. They're uneducated. They're religious. They're really frightening. And so the main enemy of I know you're a scary guy, man. So the strategy is like, okay, we have all these white people with guns. How do we fight them? We're not going to beat them by beating them up or shooting them or something. So what we'll do is we will take the pie of wealth that we have in the country, and we'll take more and more of it away from those people and give it to people we feel are going to be less threatening to us. So for the average white liberal, an immigrant, a black person, whoever, some disadvantaged class is much less threatening than these white conservatives who seem like, they could actually, because, you look at our Marines, you look at our special forces, the guys who actually could theoretically, again, January 6th, I don't know what we're allowed to say on YouTube, but I'm just saying historically, if you were to have some kind of coup or revolution, it would not be some random assortment of infantry. It would be special forces. It would be serious, specialized, extremely the top 1% of 1%. Who did we send to take out Osama bin Laden? It was a bunch of white guys with guns. So if you're a liberal and you're trying to maintain the power structure, your biggest threat really is some white guys with guns. And so you're continually trying to chip away at their jobs, at their money, at whatever, their cultural influence. You're always trying to attack them under the guise of attacking white supremacy. But at the end of the day, the heads of, again, the billionaire class, a lot of white academics, even who controls the Democrat Party, if you actually look at the people who pull the strings, and again, you can differentiate between whites and Jews if you want, but a lot of white people, a lot of white men actually still are very powerful, at least behind the scenes in the Democrat Party, and there's different ways to look at that. But yeah, I think we have to dispense with this deception. It's a popular deception, but it's just not true. It's very superficial to say that, white people in New York just want to give away all their money to black people. No, it's white people in New York want to take money from white conservatives and give it to black people, essentially, if we're going to bring it down to that basic level.
That's so interesting that it's motivated in part by fear and hatred of the white conservatives. And it's sort of counterproductive to some of, at least the voters, the people who have to deal with the results, because many of them are ending up finding out that the white conservatives are really closer to being their best friends or their best neighbors, and these other neighbors who are coming in are not as neighborly or clean or whatever you want, less crime prone or whatever.
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. So, if you go to California, for example, there are towns that are 99% white in California. Every single one of your neighbors is white. Now, it's also expensive to live in California. It's expensive to live in those neighborhoods. But if you're a white liberal, more often than not, you're more educated, you have a higher income, you're more intelligent, you're going to be able to afford that more often than the white rural conservative. So really the game that's being played here is that you have white liberals who are thinking politically. They're thinking civilizationally. They're not thinking about, oh no, the neighborhood is going to become unclean because they can just move somewhere else. Yeah. Whereas I remember talking to a guy in West Virginia, and I said, why are you a white nationalist or whatever? And he's like, well, I just want to live in a white country. I'm like, well, what does that mean? It's like, well, I want to walk outside and have a bunch of white neighbors. I'm like, dude, you live in West Virginia. You can't find a neighborhood in West Virginia that's like that. But he said, but I want it for the whole country. And, so it's like that scale of thinking where it's the local level, the neighborhood level, the national level. Liberals are very much thinking at a national civilizational level.
Right.
They're not thinking about, oh no, if we let in immigrants, my neighborhood will be bad. They're thinking about what is my status as a class across the globe, not just locally. And they see, the white conservative, the Christian, as the biggest threat to their project, which is a religious project. It's not just a neighborhood cleanup project.